Hey everyone, this is Pete, and welcome back to Atari ST A to Z, a series of short playthroughs of Atari ST games, some which I grew up with and some which are new to me. Today we're looking at Wicked, which is a 1989 release by Binary Vision Limited and Electric Dream Software. It's a real-time strategy action horror game, if that makes any sense, that involves travelling through the constellations of the Zodiac to seal up evil portals and spread the power of, quote, good. So the game got ported to Amiga as well after this Atari ST version, and it had enhanced graphics and sound there. This aspect of the Amiga port was praised quite a bit by magazines at the time, but it also drew some criticism for being £5 more than the Atari ST version. It wasn't at all uncommon practice at the time, but just an interesting bit of trivia there. So this is one I do actually have a box copy of. Here we are. There's Wicked. Here's the back, showing a nice bit of the game's visuals and so on. So here is the blurb from the box. The universe is alive, held together by the power of good, but evil has penetrated the 12 great constellations through portals of destruction. It is spreading fast, fighting for domination, growing ever stronger. You are called upon, a mere mortal, to purge the universe of evil in service of the sun god. Learn to hate the force of evil, defeat it, discover its many guises, its strengths and its weaknesses, sporing, settling, spreading. It's silent, it's cunning, and it's wicked. Now this game used to scare the crap out of me when I was a kid because it's got a really interesting atmosphere to it, as you'll see when we come to start playing it. It's also really nicely presented. So as part of the package inside the box, you've got this sort of scroll here called The Calling, which you can unfurl into this lovely sort of bit of illuminated text. I won't read the whole thing because there's quite a lot here, but we'll look at a bit of it. So, pure evil, silent and cunning, is creeping into the distant worlds, poisoning the soul of all that lives. Even as I speak, death's dream kingdom is sent against us through portals of destruction, the seething, screaming hordes from pandemonium. I call on thee, noble warrior, to lead the battle against evil. When I, a younger man, was likewise summoned to the palace of the shining thrones to come before the Lord of Light himself, I was filled with awe, yet also with fears for mine own safety. Through closed eyes I could see a brilliant light that human eyes dare not gaze upon direct, and I could feel the mighty heat wrapped around me like a garment gripping my soul, reaching in and demanding my obedience. It was there that I beheld the ritual of the ring of flame that thou shalt undergo, thy wrists and ankles tied by heavy chains to the mighty oaken ring, and with a single tidal wave of heat, through peeling skin and burning flesh and boiling blood, cast off thy mortal form to be transformed into a blazing star, sent against darkness to fly through the heavens on wings of fire. So, the rest of this bit actually gives you a few hints and tips on how to play the game, and tells you a few little bits about some of the mechanics, but it does it in a sort of cryptic, kind of in-universe fiction sort of way. So it sort of tells you a little bit about, there's a strong emphasis on sort of the use of tarot cards in this game to represent various things. And it doesn't tell you exactly what they mean in that sheet, but it sort of gives you a general idea of if they're going to be good or bad. Now, also in the box, we've got the Wicked Player's Guide as well, which is a little bit more straightforward. It tells you how to load the game, how to play it and that sort of thing. But again, it's only like 3 or 4 pages in there. So one of the interesting things about this game is you have to sort of kind of work a few things out for yourself, what the most effective strategies are and what the various tarot cards do and that sort of thing. And it's a really cool game. Like I say, despite it scaring the shit out of me when I was a kid, I really like this one, and it's one I still like today. So let's go play Wicked.
Okay, here we are with Wicked by Electric Dreams and Binary Vision. So yeah, this is a really cool game. Like I say, real-time strategy action horror game. You have accepted the ultimate sacrifice, the agonizing ritual of the Ring of Flame. This is a bit that used to scare me. A son created in my image to battle the forces of darkness. That's you, that is. Kill the Guardians before they kill you. Good portal. Yellow and red produces good growth. So this is the key mechanic of this game. Evil portal. Green and blue produces evil growth. So your job basically is to cover over all the evil portals with good growth by collecting good spores to create new portals and shooting your way through the evil growth so that the good growth can grow through it. It'll make more sense if I show you. Alright, let's begin. So, you can actually choose how you want to play this game. So you can play it with a tactical bias, a standard miss, or an arcade bias. I'm not entirely sure what the exact differences are, but I know it has a slight difference on the way that you control your character and so on. But it recommends the first time you play, you should use a standard mix. I played this a lot before, but I'm going to leave it on standard mix for now. Then you pick one of these constellations to start on. So, starting from the beginning with Scorpio, that's the easiest one. And your aim is to work your way around all of these. So we'll just start with Scorpio, which is the easiest to get started with. I love this music. This is one of those pieces of music that sort of stayed with me throughout the years. And I always think of it in certain scenarios. Right, then you pick one of the stars in the constellation that is being attacked by evil, which is the glowing ones. Position your sacrificial dagger over it. And off you go. So, way this works, you control your star with the joystick. You can shoot by holding on the fire button and pushing a direction. And picking up those white things are the good growth. The good spores for the good growth, rather. And your aim is to cover over the evil growth with the good growth. And you do that by shooting the evil growth so it turns red. And that allows good growth to grow over the top of it. Now the really important thing in this game is the day-night cycle that's going on. You notice in the middle you'll have either the beast, which is what we can see right now, or the sun god. That's the sun god there. So we won this level already. Nice and easy. When the sun god is there, you can damage the enemy, and good growth grows more easily. And when the beast is there, evil growth grows more easily, and you can't damage the guardian. And so you see they flip over and change every so often. Now, every little while you'll see that whatever's in the middle opens up and reveals a tarot card. And that determines what the effect of the little sort of rotating gem that you occasionally see that maggot pushing off the screen has. And each one has its own sort of distinct effects. So, like, the moon, for example, causes evil to get an advantage. So the guardian starts moving more quickly, evil growth starts growing more quickly, and so on. Some of them have a sort of mixed blessing about them, and some of them are good for you. So you have to kind of experiment with them. So like the moon there, we want to try and avoid picking that up really, because that is always bad. And so during the daytime, you want to pick up these little white spores, because they create new portals for good growth to come out of, which in turn makes it easier to cover over the portals. And again, you just need to keep that evil growth coloured in red so that you can dominate it and capture it as quickly as you can. Alright, so that's the first constellation done. Let's move on! Alright, so next up we have Libra. Things start to get a little bit more challenging from here. But again, it basically unfolds like this. So there's not a ton of variety to this game in terms of mechanics, but what it does is it takes those base mechanics and continues to explore. Alright, sun's always good, as I recall. Yeah, there we are. So it turns you into this spitting death machine. And makes you temporarily invincible while that's happening, I think, as well. Hangman, I can't remember what that one does offhand. Now, the other thing you might notice is over on the left of the screen, you got that gauge with the snake and the bird. The way that works is that's like the left-hand side is basically a health meter for both you and the enemy. So when you hit the Guardian during the daytime, it moves up towards the top, and if it reaches the very top, then you destroy the Guardian, and they disappear. If it reaches the very bottom, then you die and lose one of your lives, which is indicated by the stars around the outside of the screen. And that howling noise there indicates... Oh no, I picked up a moon. That's very bad, but it only lasts for a few seconds, so let's plant a spore there, and we should be all good. There we go. Alright, you see as you progress, you start getting a lot more in the way of evil portals appearing that you have to deal with. So a lot more things you need to pay attention to at the same time. And of course you also need to make sure that the evil portals are not covering over your good portals as well. You also need to watch out for those red spores that are appearing like that, because they, just like you can drop the white spores to create new portals, if a red spore flies off and lands somewhere, then that will create a new evil portal. So you see we're starting to get into a bit of difficulty over on the left here. And let's try and capture this portal here as soon as we can. There we are. Now we can concentrate on dealing with what's happening on the left here. There we are. Nice bit of recovery. The other thing on the bird and snake meter is the red arrow that's moving down as you go through. That is your time limit for each stage. So if that reaches the bottom, then you automatically lose the stage. And have to try it again. So generally it's in your interest to try and sort of defeat the Guardian as soon as you can, just to give yourself a bit of breathing room, because although they come back once night falls, which is what that howling noise is, having a bit of breathing room to do your thing is very, very useful. Now the Amiga version was complemented quite a bit for its enhanced sound effects, making it a little bit easier to figure out what's going on in a level. But if you listen carefully in this one, the sound effects are very clear. Everything you do in this game has a distinct sound effect. So there's the sound of spores appearing. There's the sound of evil spores appearing. There's the sound of things respawning. So everything's got a distinct sound effect. So there's a lot of really helpful audio-visual feedback in this game, which becomes very, very useful as you progress and things get more difficult and more complicated. So let's just jump ahead a few constellations, just see how it gets harder as we continue to progress. So we're now on to the constellation of Cancer. So you see, now we start at night time with enemy spores appearing right from the start. that we need to deal with. I believe in these later stages, nighttime lasts for longer than daytime as well. So you really end up with your work cut out for you. Oh, they're making a real mess over here on the left. So, yeah, you can see this is already going quite badly for us. Let's see if we can get rid of this guy for a bit. Okay, clear a path for the growth. Plant another portal here. Okay, nearly taking control of this side at least. Right, that side is taken care of, but we are in an absolute mess over here. You're really going to need to work to recapture this territory. Picking up that will help. Drop that right in the middle of enemy territory. There we go. We're pulling it back. And I think we might be good. And there we go. But yeah, you can hopefully see how it's a little bit harder in these later stages. And there's some seriously weird enemies going on as well. I'm never entirely sure what this thing's supposed to be. It always used to make me think of a carpet. I do know it's a pain in the ass to deal with, is what it is. Evil spores! You can actually shoot the evil spores as well as going to pick them up to get rid of them. But I tend to find, because your shots are quite short range, I tend to find that just moving over them is the most reliable means of getting rid of them. Oh, I think we're going to lose a life if we're not careful. Oh, there goes the life. Yeah, these later levels feel like a much more sort of significant struggle against the evil growth. With the spores appearing more frequently. Being a lot more in the way of growth to deal with. We're not getting many spores coming up either for our side. And that's making it really difficult to expand. Oh no, dead again. I fear this stage may be the end of us. Yeah, and that heartbeat sound, that's the time starting to run out. Oh no, that's a bad one. We lose. So that was the tower one I picked up there. That causes like an explosion growth of the evil growth. So yeah, you don't want that. You don't want that to happen. Oh no! Death! And that's the end of that. Well, yeah. So you can see sort of roughly the end of my my wicked skill level, and yeah, just those little sequences there. That's just what sort of used to freak me out as a kid. I used to sort of really perversely like the creepy atmosphere that this game had. It's really something else. Alright, so that's Wicked. Well worth a try if you get the opportunity to give it a go for yourself. Really interesting game, really fun game with some really creative mechanics and a lot of challenge to it as well. So, just remains for me to say then, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please help out the channel by leaving a like or a comment and subscribing. New episodes of Atari A to Z are on Tuesdays and Atari ST A to Z on Thursdays. Check out atariatoz.wordpress.com for a full archive. Do please also check out my other projects moegamer.net, where I explore Japanese and Japanese-inspired games from yesterday and today, and videopackgames.wordpress.com, which aims to catalogue the small but well-formed library of the Philips G7000 Videopack computer, also known as the Magnavox Odyssey 2. You can also support my work on Patreon or buy me a coffee. You can find links to do both down in the video description. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.